Um, in this video I will try to give my views on Dr. Deep State's video on the Gnostic mind. He says that the long-term goal is to bring about a new world order, and the way I see it is a world which is this world, but into which spirit, and there is only one spirit, has recognized itself everywhere. And we find this in the chapters devoted to spirit in the phenomenology of spirit. And Dr. Deep State mentions a United Nations meditation room towards the light, and the whole world will become one great classroom, in a way, where spirit will teach itself what it is, will become conscious of its own essence by teaching all of its parts. Every individual singular consciousness will recognize itself as being, I use Spinoza's term, one mode of the one infinite substance, and will be able to contemplate the whole, the totality, from the totality will be able to be contemplated from each singular window of consciousness, if I may talk about it. It will become the self-illumination of God as a total mind composed of many individual particles of consciousness, and this is what Philip K. Dick calls the macro brain, and all the neurons will function in harmony and in unity with one another, in reciprocal determination, and it will bring about the total consciousness of the whole. And this is absolute spirit becoming absolutely conscious of himself, and this is in Hegel's work. And then Dr. Deep State talks about the Gnostic mind, and gnosis means knowledge, and the fundamental determination of spirit or mind before it becomes spirit is to know himself. That's the ancient Greek motto: know thyself. Become conscious of your own being, of your own essence, and of your own concept. And he says that there are two motor forces working in history. The intellectual elites with an apocalyptic, alchemical, mystical, hermetic view, and the elites of the world are modes of God's mind, unconscious of being such, and they are unconsciously Hegelian, so they are working unconsciously to bring about the total self-consciousness of the whole. And if I could speak, I would say that we, wherever there is a we, and let me take the example of Jesus. Jesus said, when two people or more are gathered in my name, I am with them in spirit. That's the invisible church through reason and freedom. This is the cosmic Christ. It is the consciousness of the cosmos becoming conscious of itself, if you will. And if, as long as there is a we, as long as the consciousness of the totality has not been brought to unity, there is a we. So I can say we are a Hegelian mind, but from a transcendental point of view, I am a Hegelian mind. And the reason why there are many you and we is because the dialectical process of self-alienation and fragmentation of this one mind brings about the multiplicity. That's Platonic, Neoplatonic philosophy. How does the one becomes the many? You can read Neoplatonic philosophy if you're interested. And then about Plato's cave. Hegel says that the best content of Plato's philosophy is often found in the myth of Plato's. And Plato's cave, I made a video about it a few days ago, is the Matrix, like in the movie The Matrix, and the shadows dancing on the wall in front of you are the logical categories in the form of physical reality, in a way. And I crawled out of the cave and I saw the light of the sun, and I descended back into the cave to try to enlighten my fellow slaves, because we're all chained in the reciprocal determination of necessity. And that's, I think about a song by Katy Perry, Chained to the Rhythm. We're all chained to the rhythm, to the dialectical rhythm. And so yeah, and he says that they kill the messenger, and I understand that that's part of the process. I may struggle to accept this as an empirical individual, but as a thinking mind, I understand the necessity of it. And yeah. And then Dr. Deep States talk about building a totalitarian republic from the ground up. That's a good playing with words, because the ground in Hegel's logic is the fundamental ground, the kind of the essence, and existence in Hegel's logic is that which has fallen from the ground. Whatever exists is what has come out of the ground and has fallen into existence and must be brought back up to the ground by the thinking activity of man. So from the ground up, to build a totalitarian republic, it will be a republic of knowledge, and there will be equality of spirit with itself and equality of the self in the other is freedom. Hegel says there's no freedom where there is an other which is not myself. So this totalitarian republic is in the way of being produced by the collective mind of mankind, which is a reflection of what I call my transcendental self, which is the consciousness of the planet or the consciousness of the universe. And yeah. And then he says that the powers that be, but the powers that be, Hegel shows that being is contradictory, because pure being is pure nothing, and that brings about a dialectical process. So the powers that be are necessarily dialectical. And then he talks about the search for the fundamental reality, but then again, the fundamental is the ground of all reality and the essence of reality, but the concept of the essence consists in manifesting itself. Without the phenomena, the essence would not be the essence, and without the essence, the phenomena would not be the phenomena. And the unity of essence within the phenomena is what Hegel calls Wirklichkeit, and this is what he means when he says that was ist vernünftig, das ist wirklich, was ist wirklich, das ist vernünftig, which means the rational is grasping a phenomenon which is adequate to its own idea, and this is a mystical experience. And yeah. He says you cannot prove all this, but we are, as a thinking process, we are in the process of proving the necessity and the truth of all these beliefs, because Hegel says that the phenomenology is the proof of itself. It's the experience of the science of the experience of consciousness, and the concept of science and proof and truth and knowledge is the result of the entire phenomenology of which we're all parts. And yeah, and he talks, Dr. Deep State, about the logos, but the logos is Hegelian logic. If you are a Christian and if you believe in the logos is the Greek word for logic. And then he says that the whole of this universe that we can see can be pulled together into one form, and it exists in the world of the form. The form is the ID. It's a Greek word for ID, and in the world of Hegel, the world is the mirror image of the eternal ID, and that's why the world is rational, and the process of consciousness consists in finding itself, its own rationality within the world. And yeah, that's what I had to say. And I will just conclude by quoting the lyrics of a song by Eminem called "I Need a Doctor," and I don't really understand yet how it works, but let us assume that it's for you, Dr. Deep State. The lyrics: "I'm about to lose my mind. I need a doctor. I told the world one day I would pay it back. Say it on tape and lay it, record it so that one day I could play it back. Hope, I just need a ray of that, because no one sees my visions when I play it for them. All I know is you came to me when I was at my lowest." So when you are at your lowest, this is when you encounter divine logos, the divine light. "You picked me up, breathed new life in me, and I owe my life to you. As a reason, I owe my life to you, and as a spirit, I don't know yet, but we'll see. You risked. I demand you remember who you are, and to remember means to bring back the members of the divine intellect into unity, and to show them their place and their connection with the totality. So to remember means to bring back together the consciousnesses, the individual minds which have been dismembered and also forgotten. So I demand you remember who you are. And you risked your career for me. You saved my life. Now maybe it's my turn to save yours."